Okay, so wow, we don't have a whole lot of time left, so this will be a short segment. So we're talking about exhaust systems. And I said we have two types of systems. Well, probably more my term than anything else. We got the short stack, which now makes me think of pancakes. And I don't like pancakes, but you know what does sound good? It's chicken and waffles.
Yes.
All right, so used on non-turbocharged engines. And usually low horsepower, low HP. So let's see here. Should have a picture of short stack. Well, hey, here's one of icing that I didn't show you, but it's in your book. So, all right, very short stack. So this right here is a low horsepower Continental engine, probably, judging by the aircraft there, a C85 at best, maybe a little A65. So this particular system, I like that I have a pen, it's just going to come out under, and what you're seeing is just a shell that covers it. And so that little shell that covers it, guess what? You've got a little scat tube that goes in one side and one that comes out the other. So actually it's going this way. It comes in this way and goes out that way. And what is it going to down here? Carb heat. So you take off this little aluminum cover and you inspect the inside at least every annual. And it's a very simple short stack system. There's no muffler, no nothing. This one's a little bit bigger. It looks like a Lycoming there with superior cylinders on it. So it's, again, got kind of the same concept, comes together, collects. This has a little bit of a muffler or heat exchanger there. And then I've never seen one have pipes come around like that, but now I have. So discard. So anyway, that's our little short stack, low horsepower. Short stack. Then we have the collector system. And this type is used on radials. Anyway, the type we're going to talk about is used on radials. Let me see if I can find my radial. There we go. This will cover them both. So there's two type of collector systems. There's the type that used on the radials, and we'll talk about this type over here on the right in a little bit, which is not used on radials. But the radial type is, you can see at this area right here, and here, and here, there's slip joints. And if you go up to a radial engine when it's hot and it just landed, and you grab onto this pipe, you're going to burn yourself, so don't do that. But if you did, and you grabbed it, and you tried to move it, it's very solid. But interestingly, when it's very cold, when the engine's cold and it's been sitting around and it's room temperature, this exhaust system is very loose. And it seems like that's a problem. And you're going to have exhaust leaks out of every one of these seams, and the whole thing just kind of rattles. And you're like, what is up with that? Well, what's that? Not very long at all, because it's very hot. But think about what's going on. Each cylinder is coming out of here, and it's going to expand at a slightly different rate, and it's going to grow taller and move. And as they do all of that, if this was one solid piece, it would crack just about every time you did that. So by having all of these slip rings, and you can see that really it's almost comical. It's like a puzzle when it's all taken apart. This would be a 9-cylinder radial. So you can see that one piece comes out here, goes from there to there. That's one piece. The other piece is going to come from here and go here to here. There's 2. Here's the third piece from here to there. There's 3. This one's going to come down. It's obviously the lower one. So every single cylinder has got kind of its own little short stack. And then it goes into the collector ring. And the collector ring is very loose. And then as it heats up, it expands and becomes more solid. Now, we have the collector on there. This one is the type used on, this one looks like a Lycoming system here. Sort of the same way. So it's got 4 different pipes coming down that all go into the center muffler system with these clamps right here. So let's see what I got. Used on radial engines. Let's see. Uses slip joints. Oops. That are what? Something I wanted to say. Use slip joints that are, oh, that's it. That are loose when cold. And my point is, this keeps the exhaust from cracking when the engine expands from heat and contracts when it's cold. So this keeps exhaust from cracking when engine expands / contracts. All right, then we have another type of collector system. This is the type used on higher horsepower engines, which is this system right over here. So, which we just talked about. So as you go up in horsepower, you're going to see something that looks more like that. And then we get into the very more complicated. And that's when we get into turbocharged systems. And they get more complicated because they have to have a Y-gate. And these are out. A Y-gate because we have to, at some point, we have to have a diverter valve, and we'll get into this tomorrow, I think, where some exhaust gases need to go to a turbocharger and some need to not go to the turbocharger, and you have to have a way to decide, do we want more to go to turbocharger now or not now? So this particular system off a 6-cylinder engine, so we have each one of the intakes for or attaches to the cylinder and the Y-gate, and there we go. It's just a very complicated system here. And this is off of a what? T206, Turbo 206, 207 and 210 exhaust systems. Just a nice picture. Probably stole this from Knisely, so thank you, Knisely, for your beautiful picture. All right. Turbo systems. Oops, we'll spell turbo with an O, not a turbo systems. All right, and then we'll talk about maintenance. All right, as I was saying earlier, aircraft exhausts are often neglected and ignored. So I have this statement here. Consider an exhaust failure a potential life-threatening event.
That's within a turbocharger, right?
What's that?
That's within a turbocharger.
With any exhaust system.
Look at that one crash that you were talking about yesterday. It could be a potential exhaust thing.
Consider an exhaust failure a potential life-threatening event. What was that I was talking about?
That crash you were talking about yesterday with Josh's thing we applied.
Oh yeah, Jonathan. Yeah. Could be. Well, why? Because exhaust gases into cockpit kill people. And I know it's being redundant, but hot gases cause fires. Some exhaust systems are actually placarded, and it's required through airworthiness directives that you inspect them every 25 hours. They're so prone to cracking. So inspect under shrouds. What's a shroud?
Something would cover something else.
Yeah, at least every 100 hours. I should really say, or annual. So that'd be the worst case scenario. As I said, some are inspected or required to be inspected every 25 hours. And I'll be honest with you, as I always am, inspecting exhaust systems is not fun. I actually hate it. These stinking shrouds are always difficult to deal with. They don't want to line up right. There's always seems, and especially the round ones like on Cessnas, they're hard to get to the shroud to pull off. There's only 4 screws, but they never want to line up, and they're hard to get to. And then you get them, and then it's actually only open on the top, and so you have to kind of pry it apart and get in there with one eye and your flashlight, and you're looking, and you can't get around it, and so it's hard to do. And what a lot of people do is they just kind of, I'm sure it's fine. It's not sure it's fine. You got to look, and because it's so difficult to inspect, that's where the compressed air or the vacuum cleaner comes in. Just put the vacuum compressed air, soap it, look for the cracks. It doesn't take that long to, I don't know. I always kind of have little things in my mind that I say to myself, whenever because there's always something you don't want to do. It's like, oh gosh, I don't want to do that, And it's the dirty dozen. It's all those things. It's complacency. It's like, I've looked at this guy's exhaust system, every 25 hours for the past 6 years, and it's never been cracked. But then you have to tell yourself, well, if that's the kind of guy I want to be, maybe I shouldn't be here working today. This you have to say stuff. I have to say stuff like that to myself, and so. You just got to do it. Just got to buckle down and do it right. You got to go get the vacuum cleaner, and you're going to plug it up, and you're going to compress it, and you're going to go get the soap bottle that somebody didn't fill up again, and fill it all up, and you're going to do it, and you're going to do it right. And
It was probably you the last 25 hours.
what's that?
It was probably you the last 25 hours.
No, couldn't have been. So, but anyway, got to do it. And then what happens is one day you find a crack and you realize you just saved somebody's life. Like, Dad, look at that! All right.
For the whole about 5 minutes. And then just
Nope.
get next
Nope. Then I'm good. Then I'm good. Then I'll be inspect. I'll be looking for exhaust systems to inspect from that point out. For the next. Oops. So we're gonna. Oops. Nope. I don't want to do that. Don't do that. That. Okay. Use. What are we gonna say? Use compressed air. And I've got PSI. 2 PSI is, I'm not sure where I got that from. And soap to check for cracks. Where do you think cracks are going to appear first?
Joints. And
Joints, yep, okay. Joints, bends, and especially welds.
Is that because they accumulate more heat?
They do, yeah, because of at all corners and welds. It's just where it's prone to cracking. And I have a kind of a thing that I do, and I'll put this down. So inspect. Inspect externally every time cowl is removed. If you brought your aircraft into my shop, I don't care what you brought it in for. If I'm taking the cowling off, I'm going to take a few minutes to go over your exhaust system. It's just something that you need to do. And just it doesn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes just to take a flashlight, just look around somebody. It doesn't even take that long. A good minute each side, you can get a lot done. So 2 minutes each side, do a good safety inspection, and just to make sure your customers come back to you. Check internal baffles. Inside of these mufflers, there's actually other metal that's welded in there with holes drilled in it. And it's designed to muffle the sound. And I know it's almost time to go. I'll be done in a second. So, and what happens is over time, it's kind of like burner cans. You guys inspected burner cans for turbine engines, and there's a lot of abuse, and they crack, right? And so these pieces can crack, and when they crack and they break, they fall off. They tend to start collecting over the exhaust outlet. And if you block off the exhaust outlet, what happens to the engine?
It's suffocating.
Can't pump air, so it dies. So internal baffle breakages are actually cause an engine to stop. So you always want to check your internal baffles. And if they're off, it's easy. You can just shake it and you can rattle it and you can hear them. But when it's not, you have to get up there with the light and try and do the best you can. So we will pick it up here with internal baffles tomorrow. As always, don't go away mad.